Hey, how's it going, everybody? It's Ryan here, and today I got a story. This is actually the first video of a series of stories I'm going to tell, and I'm not exactly sure what story I'm going to tell. I just know that I want to get better at telling stories, and you'll find them interesting. And maybe you can apply it to your life, and maybe make you think a little bit differently. Because the thing is, well, I'm not going to get into that. Let's get into the story. The story is, I have a client, someone I work with, been working with for years, and she's fit. She's healthy and she's pretty hot. You know, she's in her mid-40s and fitter than probably 99% of all women out there, right? And she's getting into this whole plant-based type thing. As sort of a side note, there's this whole thing with being plant-based, and I used to hate people who were plant-based, like people who were in, I know hate's a strong word, but I'm just sort of anti-vegan because I used to be like super paleo. It's like the idea of not believing in meat. But what's funny is when you know someone personally that's doing something, someone you respect and admire, that is doing something personally you sort of disagree with, your perception of it sort of changes. That's sort of a side note. But anyways, they were at a basketball game, and they were like having their kids play basketball or whatever. And one of the parents walked up to her and asked, you know, what are you doing for your diet? Because you look like you are in great shape, you always look awesome, and I'm wondering, you know, basically a woman that's about her age, maybe late 30s, maybe early 40s, and she's with her husband, right, my client that I'm talking about, or friend, and they're standing there, right, at the basketball game. And anyways, she goes into this spiel about like how she's been doing plant-based diet, into this the book How Not to Die. And you think about this for a moment. She goes in and tells her what she needs to do to like get on the sort of no meat, plant-based diet. I will tell you my real opinion on this in a moment. But she goes in and says, and she gets her excited, right? And then she walks away, one of the other parents, and then her husband turns to her and says, you know, she really thinks that if she follows what you ask her to do, as far as the diet's concerned, she thinks she'll be able to look like you. Right, and it's to me it's really funny, right? Because he says to her, the husband, you are a genetic freak. You are in shape. You are fit. You know, basically, you know, you have things working for you that she doesn't have. There's no way in hell she's ever going to be able to do that. That's not exactly what he said, but I'm pretty sure that's what he meant. This is what makes this story so ironic. Okay, this is the irony of it. This couple, these people that I know, have a success that is unimaginable. You know, financially, right? They have an unrealistic life. You know, in a way, he was basically saying, oh, he did say that. He said, the husband said, you know, they have an unrealistic. You're giving her unrealistic expectations. And again, the irony is the fact that they already have an unrealistic life. No way in hell, no way to predict the success that they've been able to build, you know, and it's the reason what makes it so ironic is that there's no way that he would ever predict that he was going to be able to build a business that he has built, right? To be able to create something so amazing that has benefited so many people. Right? And has made a ridiculous amount of money, you know? You think about this for a second. Think about this. I mean, how else do you set out to do something amazing if you don't first believe some of it, right? So, you know, I was telling my client, because my client was, a friend of mine, my client was telling me this, and I was telling her, you know, for me, I told her, you have an unrealistic life. You know, what you guys have built is unrealistic. So this lady that went up to you, who's overweight, that wants to change, why not have her have an unrealistic dream for herself? Because let people dream, right? Think about that, right? Because I think this is the purpose of this story and why it makes me think so much and why I'm talking about it. It's because how can you, because the things that you are amazing at and you're good at, that in a way, you basically got lucky, like me. You know, you get lucky in certain things. And it's taking you to a place you would never expect. And like I do this too to people. I thought, you know how hard it is to lose weight? You know how hard it is to change your life, to really make this change, right? I will basically do the same thing. I will verbally sort of discourage people and realize, like, hey, hope you're ready, prepared for how difficult this workout's going to be, how much pain you're going to be in, how much you're going to fall off track, and how much you're just basically going to fail, right? I do that, right? And I do that because a lot of that is me projecting my low confidence on another person. And in a way, I'm basically trying to crush someone else's dreams. I'm trying to make it difficult in their mind. And I don't know where the happy medium is, because at one end you can't just be like, oh, I'm going to accomplish whatever I want no matter what. On the other end, you have to be sort of like, okay, you can't believe in bullshit. Like, you can't believe in doing something that's unrealistic, like, you know, Ponzi scheme, stuff like that. And that's sort of like what makes all of this so difficult, and why I'm telling you the story, because the person telling you that you have an unrealistic dream, or maybe someone is sort of presupposing or suggesting that your goal is sort of unrealistic, right? They are trying to temper you. They're trying to soften you. They're trying to prepare you for the failure you're going to come across. And here, and I do that to people. I do that to myself. But here is sort of like the lesson the purpose of this video that I'm making is you gotta believe in something, right? And if there's one thing that you should believe in, one thing that you will believe in, one thing that you're going to eventually figure out, is you have to fucking believe in yourself, right? And even if your dream is unrealistic, I've sort of come to the conclusion, no one else is going to believe in your bullshit except you anyway. So you might as well be psychotic and crazy and just believe it, right? Of course, we do need people that are good around us, people with experience, people with background. We need team members, confidants that sort of help us in sort of making sure that we don't get ahead of ourselves. But at the same token, we need that drive to like accomplish something ridiculous, like getting abs, you know, getting to a certain percentage of body fat, building a certain business, building the size of a business, building an unimaginable wealth, right? Or whatever you want to accomplish, right? Finding the perfect mate, who knows what it might be. Build an amazing company, build an amazing product, you know, solve a really big problem that people are having in the world. Anyways, about this plant-based thing, if you're still watching. I mentioned earlier, the whole thing about being plant-based is I never liked it. I sort of hated it at one point, and I was sort of anti-vegan. But the fact is that when my friend said that she was doing the plant-based, I sort of like went, my view of it changed a little bit because I respect this person greatly and admire them. I've actually have a friend who I admire greatly, who is a CHP officer, and because of that, I sort of view police officers differently. You know, it's kind of weird, right? When you have family and friends that you respect that are officers or in a certain area, you have a certain different view of them than if they weren't, right? I don't know if that makes any sense, but, and again, about the whole vegan thing, I believe that vegans are good as far as the diet, not necessarily the dogma, like of animals and stuff, because that's just not, that's too way out of the scope of kind of what I generally talk about or have an opinion about. But the one thing I do know is that they eat well, because they eat vegetables. And most people, vegetarians probably don't eat vegetables, they eat bread, right? You know, or they can't eat bread. Look, we have a visitor. Anyways, I'm just saying that I'm a vegan, I'm a plant-based eater, but I just add protein. I had meat, not protein, I had meat. Anyways, thanks for watching, and I'll see you all on the next video.